Hi, good evening. My name is Tom Roy. I'm Director of Public Works here in Simsbury, and as part of my job for the town, I'm fortunate enough to be responsible for coordinating the Solarize Simsbury program, which is a 20-week program that I hope most of you are aware of at this point, which is intended to increase the amount of residential solar that we have here in town. Just by a quick show of hands, how many of you have had the opportunity to hear one of our presentations so far, or to have somebody from CTEC do a visit to your house? Anyone? Okay, good. Most of you. So you guys actually probably know just about as much as I do about what CTEC can do for you. We wanted to have tonight's program, which is going to be broadcast on SCTV as well, as a way to help all of you work through some of the questions that may arise in terms of the different financing options. The whole point really of the Solarize program is to make solar easy on residents, to make it easy to understand, easy to purchase, and easy to get started with. And I know in some of the talks that we've had with residents that some of the financing options can seem daunting at first, and we have a couple of experts here that are going to help us walk through some of your options. First, we're going to have Brad Mead, who's a resident here in Simsbury. He has solar panels on his house that do both hot water and electricity. He drives an electric car. He is one of our solar ambassadors, and he truly lives up to everything that solar has to offer. But in tonight's presentation, he's going to go through some of the numbers with you. He's an investment banker by trade. He understands all of the financing options, and he's going to really hopefully break it down in a way that you can all see what is the best option for you and your family. So Brad, if you're ready.
All right. So, welcome. I've had solar on my house since September of 2012. I have a 10 kilowatt system. That's a fairly large system. It produces, I'll put it up here. And it produces about 12,100 kilowatts a year. Now, I don't have the ideal situation for my house, because what you'd like to do is have your roof facing south and be on about a 30-degree slant. My roof faces west at an 11-degree slant. So I take a penalty for putting my solar collectors on that roof, and I take about a 17% penalty, which means that's the 17% degradation of power that I would get. I would get 17% more if I had the optimum location. But frankly, most roofs aren't optimum. But I only take a 17% hit, and I'm still producing 12,100 kilowatts. What I want to go through is the finances of what it means to buy a solar system and what it means to actually own the system yourself. You're going to hear later on tonight about financing in different forms, but I'm going to talk about just what it is to actually buy a system. People buy systems for a lot of different reasons. They buy it because they want to reduce their carbon footprint, because they want to help the environment. That is not any of the reasons that I did it. I did it just for pure economics. I love to help the environment. I like all that stuff, but I've been involved with the solar energy business for 40 years. And I've represented the U.S. interests overseas in solar and wind. I can do the equations upside down and backwards, but up until a year and a half ago, I never invested in solar. And that was because it was only then that the lines crossed and the economics made sense to me. As an investment banker, I look at everything in terms of returns on investment. So we have a 10 kilowatt system, produces 12,100 kilowatts a year. Put it up on the roof. The thing that you have to worry about is, what are you paying for energy? What are you paying for a kilowatt? Most of you probably don't know. You've never taken your bill and actually dissected it. And if you look at your bill, it comes in lots of pieces and everything else. If you take what you actually pay for the monthly charge and divide it by the total number of kilowatts that you use that month, you'll come up with your actual price. I used to pay 19.5 cents. And then I went and changed my supplier. You can do that as well. You can change your supplier. You're allowed to have different suppliers. And I now have reduced my cost to 16.5%, 16.5 cents. That, in effect, works against my solar interests, right? Because I'm putting in a capital cost, but I'm going to operate it on 16.5 cents, and it turns out that if you take 16.5 cents and multiply it by the number of kilowatts that I got from the sun, you will find that that number comes out to about $2,000. I rounded it. I want to keep the numbers round. It works easier. So $2,000 is what the sun contributed to my system. My system cost me about $40,000 to install. That's what the contractor charged me. Wasn't Mickey. I didn't know he existed at the time I did it. But I bid out this amongst 3 contractors. Cost about $40,000. When I got done with all the tax incentives, the federal tax incentive, the Connecticut tax incentive, I was able to use all those tax incentives and reduce my tax bill, because what you get is a tax credit. A tax credit means that the government, federal government, will give you 30% of $40,000, or about $12,000, and you can reduce your tax bill by $12,000. And it's right on the tax form. So the next year, instead of paying $12,000 to Uncle Sam, I just took it right off, and I reduced, in effect, my cost of the system by $12,000. Then I reduced it another $8,000 with the Connecticut incentives. So I ended up paying $20,000 for my system. That's my out-of-pocket. That's what I really paid for. Now, interesting enough, because that system has a long guarantee, in my case, 30 years, that system improves the price of the house, increases the value of your house by something between 20 and 40, and there's a large debate going on in the industry about what that number is. But it's at least 20,000 and maybe much as 40,000, so the price of your house has gone up. Well, that makes sense because you now are your own utility. You're producing your own energy. Well, if I save $2,000 and I only invested $20,000, I'm getting a 10% return. That $2,000 that I did not pay for my energy cost is what my return is on my out-of-pocket of $20,000. That's a 10% return. But wait, there's more. That $2,000 was after-tax dollars. When you pay your energy bill, you pay it after you've paid all your taxes to Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam doesn't pay for your tax bill. You have to pay all your taxes out of whatever you earn, and then whatever left over, you can pay your bills with it. Well, one of your bills is your energy bill. So if I were trying to get $2,000 return after tax, what would I have to do that? Well, that depends on your tax bracket. But for most of us, we'd have to get $2,500, or about maybe a 12, 14, or 15% return in order to get 10% after-tax return. So now my system is producing somewhere between 15 and 18% pre-tax return, which compares to you putting your money into a CD or something. Well, if you put your money in a CD today, you can get about 1%. If you put it into a Treasury bill, if you put it into a 10-year Treasury bill, you get about 2.6%. Now, those are safe investments. There are no other safe investments. This turns out is a really safe investment. Why is that? Because you're going to use the energy and the sun is going to shine. And if either of those two things don't happen, we're all in trouble. So if you think in terms of investment terms, if you have cash sitting in the bank in any other investment vehicle, whether that's a mutual fund, a bond, tax-free bond, anything, if you are getting in a tax-free bond 10%, good for you, because I don't know any tax-free bonds that get you 10%. And you're probably getting more like 3% or 3.5% or 4%. Should you punch out of that tax-free bond and do this? Absolutely. You just doubled your return. So think in terms of not so much break even, because remember, in addition to getting that return on your cash invested, you're improving the value of the house by the amount that you put into the house. So that's a capital expense. If you sell the house in the next 5 years, you're going to get a large percentage of that back in the price of the house. And depending on how long you own the house, you're going to start getting all these returns back starting the first day. So in pure financial terms, anytime you can get a 10% guaranteed return after tax, that's an investment you want to make. I don't care what it is. If it's guaranteed and it's after tax, it's an absolutely great investment. And so if you have money sitting in any other vehicle, this is a really great vehicle to put it in. And if you want to reduce your carbon footprint and be an environmentalist and be green as they come, you get all that on top of it. But there's an economic reason to do it now. And when I saw the lines cross about a year and a half ago, I said, wow, this is too good. Now, frankly, it only works with government incentives. So if the government incentives go away, the economics don't look so good. The government incentives are here now. Use them now, because governments are precarious. They come and go. So, any questions? Okay.
I tell you, that was great. That was a lot better than any of my college economics classes. And I can tell you, when my wife and I signed up to put solar on our house, after we signed the contract, the next day, I sent Brad an email and I said, how exactly should I finance this? And he broke it down in about the same way he did up here for me and made the decision really clear. So it was a big help. And I'm sure as if you think of questions throughout the night, Brad's going to be here at the end. We're going to have a little bit longer session of question and answers. Or if you have any questions that maybe you just want to ask Brad off to the side about whether we should pull money out of a college savings fund or if my house is not going to be big enough to get such a large system, he's going to be here and I'm sure he's going to answer any questions you have. Next up from, we have Kate Donnelly. She's with SunPower, which is part of the Solarize program, and she's going to be representing some of the loan products through CEFIA, which is the Clean Energy Investment and Finance Authority, which is a quasi-public state agency, which is designed specifically to promote renewable energy and energy conservation in the state of Connecticut. So, Kate?
Thank you. Without a doubt, the best savings are to purchase a system. We know that, but not everyone can afford to do that or has that $20,000 or $10,000, accessible to them. So CEFIA, the Clean Energy Finance and Investment Authority, which in September will be known as the Connecticut Green Bank, has developed some products to make it affordable for people through financing. And most of these products you'll be cash positive within a month or two or a year or two, depending on the product. So you're saving money and doing all that good stuff about the carbon footprint. So I'm going to just review the three, really briefly, just a summary, high-level summary of these products. And if you have any questions, I can go over it later. So the three that I'm going to be speaking about are the Smart E-Loan, the Connecticut Solar Loan, and the Connecticut Solar Lease. And all of those are managed through the Clean Energy Finance and Investment Authority. I'm going to just move on to talk first about the Smart E-Loan. The Smart E-Loan is a residential product just for energy efficiency and renewable energy. It's a very low interest with flexible terms. It's a 5 to 12-year term. The interest rate is 4.49% to 6.99%. It's an unsecured loan. And the really great thing about this particular product is that you can use it for multiple measures. So if you need a new roof when you're doing your solar installation, this product can pay for that. You can just roll it in together. If you want to expand into other kinds of energy, savings or efficiency or renewables, you could do heat pumps. You can do windows. You can up to $25,000. You can finance those systems. Some have it up to $30,000, so you'd have to check with them. There's a special going on right now till the end of the month, June 30th. Generally speaking, they roll these specials over, so I think that will be continued further. And basically, it's no interest for the first 6 months. And there's also a really amazing product, the Deeper Savings, that offers a 2.99% interest rate on a 10-year loan. And that is for multiple measures. And it's not just any measures for energy, but if you wanted to do a heat pump and a solar system, you could do that and get the 2.99. Again, there's that 25 or 30,000 maximum on that loan. I think the local ones that do it here are the Union Savings Bank and the Nutmeg Federal Credit Union. So if you're interested in doing more than just your solar, this is a really good option. The next is the Connecticut Solar Loan. And the Connecticut Solar Loan was developed specifically for solar in the state of Connecticut. It's a residential just for homeowners. It extends the system's warranties and production warranties at no cost. So if to make sure if your system is producing what it says it's going to produce, and if it's not, they will make sure that that works, that it will be altered. It offers the largest long-term return on investment in terms of a loan product, and it's the lowest monthly payments on the road to solar ownership. So it also is a very good product for people who may not be able to afford purchasing their system. These are the cash flow. You see it over time, what happens, and it's a very good savings. Of course, you're not saving as much in the beginning as you would for a purchase. So you save more than, say, a lease program or a purchase power agreement. Low monthly payments for only 15 years, and at the end of the 15 years, you own your system. You have the extended warranties, and it's easy online credit, pre-qualification, and contracting. So they really developed this to make it easy for solar installations, particularly the Solarize campaigns. A lot of people are using this. I believe this is the most used product right now in the state of Connecticut for financing a solar system. And there are multiple flexible alternatives. If you want to buy, you can pay it off at any time. So if you get some money and you want to lower that monthly payment, you can pay part of it off or all of it off. And you can also re-amortize at any point during that loan. The final product is the Connecticut Solar Lease, and this is a great product for people who have no money to put down. It's 0% down. It's a 20-year lease. You need credit scores greater than 640 with a debt to interest ratio, income ratio, of less than 45%. There is some issue about qualifying for this, but there's escalating payments. You pay 2.99% per year unless you want a fixed rate, and the fixed rate you pay slightly more. I bought a lease. I got my solar system about almost 7 years ago now with the first solar lease program. I had no money to put down, and I've been having solar, and this lease is way better than what I did, and I am definitely saving money from what I got. So it's a really good option for people who may not have money right now to put down. You have an option to buy after 5 years, and the other thing about this, well, we'll get into that, but there's no money down. You can put up to 50% down if you want to have a lower lease payment, and that's new, this prepay option. So the other additional benefit is that its insurance is bundled into the lease program. So Assurant has a warranty for everything to do with solar. So if there's any issues, usually there are not issues with the solar system, but if there are, you just call this Assurant and they'll come out and take care of it. They also, if you need a new inverter, if you go with that kind of inverter, a central inverter, then you need a new one after, say, 15 years, then this lease program will cover that. And there's a multi-year warranty management program. So it's a good option, but it's not the greatest savings of all the products, but you do actually get to start saving and get to have solar. You save on your electric bill from day one. There's peace of mind, as I said, the fact with all the warranties, and it's affordable for almost everybody. These are some of the figures on that. The other thing about the lease I think that is really nice is, a lot of people have problems paying figuring out what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. And, you know, if there's a homeowners, it's less complicated. It's very simple. Let's put it that way. It's not simple paperwork, but CTEC takes care of the paperwork. So paperwork for the lease is quite cumbersome, but the nice thing about the Solarize program and solar in the state of Connecticut is that the solar installer is responsible for all the paperwork. So they will work with you to figure out what's the best option for you if you want to use any of these products. And CTEC offers some others. They have a program through Admiral's Bank, so you might want to, you know, maybe I can take questions on these products, or we can save the questions to the end. Do you guys want to?
Wow, thank you, Kate. I tell you, it's been a good night. Very few questions, or else everybody's being shy tonight. Mickey, did you want to present some of the options that you have available through CTEC, or would you like to just open it up to some of the specific questions I'm sure people have?
I think mostly I'd like to just open the floor for questions, but we do have a couple options that I'm going to briefly go over. What I want to know, though, quickly before we do that, while he's queuing this up, has everybody, I don't know if you haven't been to the home and you haven't been to our presentations, you may not know exactly how the program works. So maybe I should just briefly go over what we're doing here. I'm not sure everybody is aware. So the town of Simsbury was selected to do this program, Solarize Simsbury, and through their process, they vetted many developers, installers, and in the end, they chose CTEC Solar, which is our company. We are a locally owned company. We're in Simsbury, and we have gone through this Solarize program in 6 or 7 other towns. It's been hugely successful. We're very excited to be a part of this program for the town of Simsbury. How the program works is the more people, essentially, the more people who sign up for solar, the lower the price of everybody's system becomes. So we have tiers. Am I not loud enough? Thanks. We have tiers 1 through 5. We actually are in our 3rd tier, which is the second lowest price price structure that we've offered. We're pretty close to getting to tier 4, which the price again will go down for everybody just a bit more. And then if we can get to tier 5, the price will go down even more. We've got 14 folks in the town that have signed up already. We have seen about 200 folks. We still have, we actually have about 150 folks that we've seen, and I think we have about 30 or 40 more that we still have to see. I think that's pretty close to the numbers right now, right? I can't remember exactly. So we in this sort of program, it tends to ramp up towards the end. People tend to wait for their neighbors and come to some more of these events. And Mary Glassman was our latest sign-up here in town, so I want to get that out there too.
And let me just jump in and tell Mickey, and kind of the deciding factor for me is once we had the proposal at my house in terms of what this was going to cost us, and I sat down with my wife and we talked about it, and we sat on it for a few weeks, and then the sun came out, and I started realizing every day now that we're in end of June and July, we're losing the opportunity to make our own electricity and to lower our bills. So if you're sitting on a proposal, I think we had Nevin from Flaming Farm out here at our kickoff meeting, and I think he said it best, which is just jump in, just dive in, you'll never regret it. So,
yeah, that's true. And again, our experience has been that we've seen a lot of people sign up towards the end, but we've always gotten to tier 5. So in every town that we've done, we've gotten to the lowest tiered price that we've offered for that program. So that's something to look forward to. I think
I just wanted to say, Brad mentioned that the incentives may go away. Well, the incentives are going away. The goal of the Connecticut Green Bank is to just really finance solar through these products as opposed to giving actual incentives. So this is a really good time to go solar. The tax incentive is due to go away in 2016.
2016.
And so if you wanted to do it, these prices are about 20% below market prices for the rest of the state of Connecticut, and the incentives are going away. So I think it's important to understand that when Brad says that it only works with these incentives, that this is the best time to do it.
Sure.
I think the reason why a lot of people wait until the end is they think that they're waiting until Tier 5 to sign up because that's the price point they're going to receive. However, it's the opposite. Everyone's going to get Tier 5 once we get to Tier 5. So if you sign up now and you're in Tier 3 and you pay off your system, once we get to Tier 5, we'll issue you a rebate check. If there's still a remaining balance on your system, once we reach Tier 5, we'll reduce the last payment of your system cost, whatever the difference is. And when we send you the proposal, you'll be able to identify what the Tier 5 price will be for your system, because we clearly state what Tier 1, Tier 2, 3, 4, 5, Tier 5 pricing is. So it's very clear. It's on your proposal. As we mentioned before, each day that passes is another day that you have an opportunity to be generating your own clean energy for your own consumption. So if you know you're going to move forward with it, now's the time.
Thank you, Mark. This is Mark, one of our solar consultants. You may have had him at your home. I'm not sure if you have, but I also have Jeff up here with me. I have Jacob in the back and Edwin in the back as well. We're here. My name is Mickey. I'm one of the owners, and actually we have Tyler up here in the front. We're going to be here at the end of this to answer any questions that you may have, so please feel free to do that. Before we get to that, we do have some slides as it pertains to financing options, but I think because Kate so nicely went through the ones that they offer through the state, we're going to skip through those, all right, and we're going to talk about Enerbank and Admirals, which are two programs that we offer as well that'll help you. One will help you bridge your loan or your payments with your tax credit, and the other one is just another option. So I'll introduce Jeff here, and he'll get into talking about that.
Hello, everyone. Sorry I ran a little late. I was, of course, explaining financing to somebody else tonight as well. So you went over all three of these state programs. Okay. So let me move forward then.
While we're waiting, the one thing I forgot to mention about the solar lease is that if you're on a fixed income or really can't take advantage of that 30% tax credit, then the lease program is a good option for people who don't have that kind of tax appetite.
Since you mentioned about lease, can you tell me what the term of ownership is? Time for ownership, say if you move or sell the house before the lease, the end of the lease, what's the term of ownership?
That's right. Yeah, so the lease in Connecticut is a 20-year lease. Okay, you've got the option of either a 0% or a 2.99 escalating payment. After 5 years, you can purchase it at fair market value, which is a third-party appraisal that has nothing to do with us or the finance company. It's a third party that comes in and appraises what the value of the system is. Logically, we don't really know what that cost is, but logically it should go down over time based on what it would be today. As far as after the 20 years, you can renew the lease for another 5 years if you'd like. What we find with a lot of our leasing partners is overall what happens is if somebody wants to buy the house, they'll typically assume the lease payments. And if they can qualify for a mortgage, they'll most likely qualify for the lease payments as well. Or you'd buy out the system at that point and add it to the market value. Does that answer the question?
You wanted to know about transfer. It is fully transferable.
It's fully transferable. Yeah, after the 5-year point. So when you sell, you can transfer the lease to the next person as long as they qualify for the mortgage and qualify for the credit rating. They can just take over the payment. No, it's not mandatory. If they don't want to assume the lease, then you could actually buy out the system at fair market value and just add it to the cost of the home, essentially. So you have that option, either having them assume the lease or buying it out. Yeah, so the few programs she already went over, the Connecticut Solar Loan, Smarty, and then the last one, Connecticut Solar Lease. There's two more in there. One is Admirals Bank. Now, Admirals Bank uses an FHA secured loan. So for people that want to use maybe the secured loan option where you can write off the interest each year, interest that you pay on a secured loan can be written off on your taxes. So that's a deduction. Doing that type of loan, they offer a couple different things. Number one, that loan has a same as cash portion for the tax credit. So essentially, you can start off making a payment that's less than your electric bill right away and not have to wait for it. That same as cash portion would be based on the tax credit. So your principal loan is really minus the tax credit, and you have 12 months to then pay that tax credit off. That's the same thing as EnerBank. EnerBank is really just a simple same as cash loan. So if you want to pay cash, but maybe you don't want to come out of pocket the amount before the federal tax credit, you can actually come out of pocket the amount after federal tax credit, and we'll float the 12 months same as cash basically with no interest, no payments on the tax credit. That way you don't have to come out of pocket more than you would have anyway. So that's an option as well. And I'll show you kind of how both those loan terms work. Okay, so on the Admiral's Bank, it's an FHA secured loan. It's not based on equity though. The nice part about this program is that if you can't get a home equity line, maybe there's a lot of people that don't have the equity in the home, or there might be other reasons why, you can actually get this as a second position without using up the equity, or if you don't have it, you can still get it. The first part of this loan is $25,000. That's on a term loan, meaning you make payments on that amount. The other $15,000 though is an earmarked amount for same as cash. And that's how that loan program works. You can set it at 20 years, you can set it at 15, you can set it at 7, you can set it at 10 or 12. Really, it's up to you how you do it. And here is basically a loan comparison. If you look at the top green line, that's your expected electric bill for a 7,000 watt system. As it goes up over time, in this case 3% over time, the electric bill keeps going up. That blue line is actually your Admiral's Bank payments, which right away are lower than the electric bill. And if you look at the red line, if you factor in the writing off the interest on your taxes, then that is actually the actual payment you're making. So over 20 years, as you can see, the difference in the green line and the red line, that's how much you're saving right away. And over time, after the 20-year period, when that payment ends, of course, you're saving the full amount of the electric bill. Essentially, your payment for an average utility bill savings of $119, your payment would be $120, but you get to write off $92 in tax deductions. So your net monthly savings is actually $27 a month, and that's right off the bat. Now, of course, that'll stay fixed as the cost of electricity keeps going up. And this is a way to own the system and be cash flow positive right away. Some programs require you to wait 12 months or 18 months to reamortize the loan, so you have to pay a larger payment up front for at least a year. This is a way to do it without doing that. You can basically pay exactly what you're saving or a little bit less, and the rest of it goes on a same as cash plan. So in this case, if you can see, your net benefit over the course of the loan is $24,354. And then this is the EnerBank option. People that want to use their own funds, but maybe the tax credit amount, let's say the tax credit amount in this case, on an example 7,000 watt system, is the total amount's $24,850. Now Cephia is going to be kind enough to pay you $7,243, or they're going to pay us that amount for the job. So your actual out-of-pocket would be $17,607. Now, since you're expecting to get back $52.82 anyway, we can put that on the same as cash. So you actually only pay $12,325 for the system, and then as soon as you get your tax credit back, you pay off that same as cash with zero interest, zero penalty. So it's a nice way if you have a way to make some interest off the $5,282 if you're a cash customer and you don't want to take that money out for a year, you can actually leave that money where it is, collecting interest, and then you don't have to worry about that portion of this being on a term loan. Does that make sense? Any questions about the two options that I offered?
This is usually the exciting part. People have all these questions. If it doesn't have, if it's not related to finance.
Unless I did that good of a job explaining that everybody understands it. So.
We're here to talk to you about any questions regarding Zola, the technology itself, the program, the financing, whatever you might have. The questions.
On the tax credits, it requires
You could take it over a course of 3 years. It's actually approved through 2016 at this point. We don't know if they're going to extend it further. So when we're telling people to plan strategically, plan on taking it in 3 years or less.
Well, actually, the model that we show is the first year, that's all at once. Up until 2016,
Gotcha, thanks.
you're able to take that home. If you sign up in 2016, they're going to allow you actually 20 years to use that tax credit. It's not what most people would do. And like Kate said, if you don't have the tax act, the lease is a great option. But you could use it over a period of time. Any other questions? Yes.
You're not doing the lease. What's the situation with maintenance? How much maintenance is there? What pays for it when something goes wrong?
We're not Yeah, the question is, what does the maintenance cost if you're not doing the lease, and how do you cover yourself as a homeowner? Well, I personally, I think as part of our business model, we would like to offer maintenance contracts for these systems. But in all fairness, I really can't do that as an honest business person, because in our mind, there's really no need for that. There's, part of the people, I hate to say that there might be some people misleading folks as it pertains to the lease and why you should do it. I think the best reason to do a lease is what Kate said. You have a tax credit issue, or not tax credit issue, but you don't have the appetite for a tax credit. That's a great reason to do it. Zero money out of pocket, I guess, is another reason to do it. The fear factor of maintenance is another thing that the lease companies will tell you. But honestly, we feel that owning a system, financing it, or paying cash for it is the best way, because that issue with maintenance is really a non-issue. There's not many moving parts. We've even debated whether they should be cleaned every once in a while. As long as you have a pitch, 30 degrees, even 20 to 35 degrees, your pollen is going to be rinsed off by the rain. Any bird droppings or anything else would get rinsed away. So from that standpoint, not really an issue. The biggest thing is that's the most complicated or sophisticated aspect of this is the inverter. And we have, like the microinverter that we offer as an option, is a 25-year warranty. Really shouldn't have any issues with that. A string inverter, which is one inverter on a system, is a 10-year warranty. You can add an extended one to that. That's probably the most complicated part of the system, and with that in mind, maintenance is really a minimal issue. It's not something that you should be concerned about. Sure.
Also, your system comes included with a monitoring software, so you can monitor the productivity of your system and identify if there is any issues. And also, one last thing that CTEC we offer that I know none of our competitors offer in the industry is our labor warranty for repairs. If there were ever to be a manufacturing defect, we offer a 13-year labor warranty. So all the work that we do installing on the roof, tying into your electrical system, is covered for the first 13 years. And I would think that if there's an issue, it would most likely come up in that 13-year time.
Yes.
Are systems typically covered by a standard homeowner's policy?
Yes, they are. We recommend it.
Most likely scenario around here would be a tree limb coming out and smashing it.
Yeah. We ask you to offer your insurance. It's part of the ability to get the incentive to give us let us know who your home insurance would be. We would ask that you put it on your, list it on your home insurance, property insurance. And what we find is the fee for that is minimal, we put anywhere from $20 to $35 a year to add that to your homeowner's insurance. And it would be covered under that sort of issue.
Would you be willing to not very technically just to explain to me exactly where the power is coming from? For example, I'm getting power from the utility, and at the same time generating power, which is coming back to them, so we're kind of like running in two opposite directions. Or if the system is working at some level, like actually running off the roof, and only when there's no sun do I get power from the utility.
Well, I think the question is, where are you getting the power and when are you using it?
Right.
When you're
I mean, for example, it's sunny today, 2 hours, I'm generating X amount of kilowatts. And it's inverted, it's not, that means that I'm getting power from the roof, not from the, but I said,
So essentially, as you're producing power, the sun is creating, on these panels, producing AC power. The inverter is converting that to AC power, which is power that you're going to use in your home. Now, during the day, it's sunny out, and let's just say you're on vacation, you're producing extra power, you're not using it, that power is going to go into the grid, and you're going to get credits for that. And when you come back and you turn on your power, and it's a cloudy day, let's just say you're not producing it, you're going to pull from those credits first before you pull from the grid. That's one scenario. While you're in the house, and you're using the power, and you're producing power from the sun, you're going to be using that power first. And then if it gets to be, dark, cloudy or rainy, or just later in the day, and you're still using power, and you don't have any credits built up, you'll then start pulling from the grid.
I hate to answer my next question, but what about snow cover? Within the last 2 years, I've had 20 inches of snow on my road, at least, on several occasions, maybe more. And you said there's no reason to go up there and clean that off?
No. I mean, we've had some strange years, but I think we have
I'd like to
study
answer that
about
question based on experience. We have solar panels for 7 years. I bought this big long squeegee to get all the snow off. And if I was to get in an hour, it goes down anyway, so the squeegee is in my garage. It warms up and it slides off.
Yeah.
See all the other homes around it, the roof is fully covered in snow, and that's one house where the roof is cleared.
Well, we could get a squeegee and scoot it off, or you can wait an hour or two till it warms up and slides off.
Keep in mind, in the winter, when you have the snow, you have the least amount of sun, just on the sun end. So in my system, on the best day, I get 70 kilowatts out of my 10 kilowatt system. On a winter day in December, I'll get about 10 or 12 kilowatts. So if the snow comes, I used to worry about it too. I used to get up on a step ladder and scrape the snow off. And I said, this is nuts. But you actually bumped it and made it so it fall over. So don't sweat it in the winter because you're not really, if you look on an annual basis when you get all your energy, it's now. It's the months of April, May, June, July, and August.
And Brad, that's an interesting, point. When we're giving you a proposal, we're using calculators that take into account the sunny days, the snowy days, the rainy days. It's all part of what your expected production will be for the entire year. So, trying to cheat the system or doing whatever to, clear off your panels. It's not. It may give you a little bit more, but as Brad said, it's not really that significant. And you'll see that your roof will clear off. That portion of your roof will clear off far sooner, quicker than the rest of your roof. Yes.
And the sun doesn't have to be shining to get power.
Right.
And maintenance, we replaced, something went wrong with the inverter, which was under warranty, and that was replaced with it. And we've had it 7 years, and there's really nothing except the inverter. And that's why you can use 4 into your 13.
Hey, just in case. Yes.
For the solar system to work, though, there still has to be power coming from the grid.
Not necessarily, but in most cases, yes.
Almost 3 years ago, we were out of power for 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
this system is not going to work under that sort of scenario.
Well, I don't. So the question is, does the system produce power when the power is out? We do offer a system that will produce power when the power is out. The system will produce, we just are not allowed to put it back into the grid. So we have to set up your system, design it so that it doesn't do that. So when they're repairing the line, we're not feeding it with solar all over the place and hurting somebody. So that's the reason. But it does work in theory. If it's sunny, it's going to produce power. So we do offer a battery backup system that you can be producing power on a normal day feeding your battery, and then if for some reason your power goes out, you'll have a certain amount of power left for a certain amount of hours, depending on what we design your system. Again, we feel that, everyone at CTEC, my message is let's educate our folks and let's just not sell them whatever they want or whatever they think they want. Let's educate them on what's the right way to go, whether it's a lease, a loan, or cash, or whatever that is. And also, as it pertains to battery backups, our message is we'll sell and we'll design a system that has a battery backup if that's what somebody wants. But we recommend, under the current economics, to have a generator rather than a battery backup. Now, some people just don't want to hear that, and they think they just want to have battery. They want to be able to be removed from the grid, and so we will design a system for that. It's just, it's cost prohibitive at this point. If you don't mind the payback and you're comfortable with that, then we can certainly offer that to you.
And there's 2 other stipulations to that too, Mickey, if you don't mind. There are transformerless inverters now, just so you know, so you can actually use the inverted power. Not all of it, but you can actually plug right into the inverter when it's on a sunny day. There is an option for that as well. Wouldn't power the whole house, but you actually can use the sun directly on a sunny day by plugging an extension cord right into a certain type of inverter. The other option too, what I tell most people, and I just had this conversation with 2 other people today, is they want to eventually have battery backup, and we went through a price and a cost analysis of it. To be honest, you can retrofit these systems. So if it's going to be, 10% of the cost in 5 years of what it is now, and you can retrofit the system in the future, why not grab the incentives that are available now for the system, the infrastructure, which isn't going to change, and then you can always retrofit with a charge controller and battery banks in the future. That same system could just be upgraded.
Thanks.
Figured out how to wire Tesla in as the battery backup.
I knew the word Tesla.
That would be a game changer right there. Yes, in the back.
Can you talk a little bit about loss of efficiency of solar panels over time?
Sure.
Also how that works with your warranty, and also how your warranty works just for a failure of a particular panel from the system.
Are you speaking about warranty, product warranty?
Product warranty.
Okay, so first of all, in our proposal, we offer, or we show on a line item the degradation that you can expect over a system's life, based on what the product is expected to produce over a certain amount of time with the suggested degradation. So in every panel that we use, the system is warranted to produce 80% of its current power 25 years later. Okay, so, and that, hopefully people understand what that means. It just means that the companies who produce these panels have tested these systems, and they feel very comfortable warrantying their product to the fact that if they tested it 25 years later, it's going to be producing at a minimum 80% of what it currently is producing. And we've read many articles and talked to many engineers that feel that's actually a very conservative number, but it's a warranty, and that's why they've chosen that number. It might be actually less degradation than that. Does that answer your question?
That's the first part. How about if you've got 10 panels on your roof and one of them has a defect and it just dies? Then what happens?
Then you get a new panel for that. Yeah, that would be part of the warranty.
Degradation on the panel come from CTEC or from the manufacturer?
The degradation comes from the manufacturer. Yep. The warranty on the degradation, on the production of the panel. Yes, and that's a 25-year warranty.
And how long have any of those companies been in business?
Well, a lot of them have been around for, 10, 15 years, but what's most important is the panels that we've chosen are backed by a third-party insurer, and the one that we choose that's on our proposals is actually backed by Chubb, right?
Chubb.
So Chubb, you might have heard of them. They're pretty big. So if the product manufacturer happens to go out of business in the next 25 years, Chubb is the party that's going to insure you and make you right, make your situation whole again. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
You presented us with a lot of different financing options, and we pay for it outright, and you showed us some of these fancy bar graphs. But it doesn't really mean anything until we plug in our own numbers. In other words, what's going to be our capital investment for our particular home?
Sure.
What are the savings on our
Yeah. The question is, are we going to help explain and help the individuals understand their situation? And our solar consultants are versed in all of that, and they are going to sit with you. They're going to set up your system size. You're going to figure out what your incentives are going to be, and then they're going to look at it and they're going to assess it, and they're going to get a spreadsheet of what your payback will be, your break even will be, whether it has a loan in it or a lease or what have you, and we're going to break that down for you. I know some folks have actually already gotten proposals that are here. You haven't had a site visit with us yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna come see you, and we're gonna explain that to you. If Jeff wants to talk a little bit more about that, what you're doing in the home, we can do that. But,
Yeah, sure.
But absolutely, we are going to go through all those scenarios
So
with you.
basically, I mean, these scenarios, of course, are just averages. 7,000 watt system, in this case, produces 8,400 kilowatt hours. I did this on a specific design factor with a little shade, maybe not quite the perfect roof, because I had calculated all this. Now, this same 7,000 watt system might produce a lot more power or a lot less power at somebody's house, depending. That coupled with what type of equipment you choose, what size system, your financial situation, how long you've been in the house is pretty important. If you've been in the house only a couple years, that kind of changes where we look for the loan programs. And then also if you want to do other programs, I don't know if Kate had mentioned this, but there's a great new 2.99% combo offer on the Smart E program if you happen to be doing another type of improvement. So that is another reason. So there's so many different options, and I don't feel like any one option is better than the other for everyone. I really don't. That's why we offer so many of them, because even the state has 3 different options that they're offering, and we have 2 on top of that, because for every certain situation, a different option might be better than the other one. And really what we'll do is once we talk to you personally and discuss, not only how long you've been in the house, but how long you plan to stay in the house, what your long-term plans are, if you plan on adding more power in the future, or if you're comfortable with what you have now. Those are all different questions that we're going to ask you and get to know you a little bit before we do the proposal and before we recommend what we think might be the 1 or 2 options for you. Okay?
Jeff? Yes.
The money piece aside for a second, is there an inherent disadvantage to leasing versus owning a system?
Money aside?
If money were no object, which is,
Well, that's different. That's different. Now, if money's no object is different than money aside.
in terms of maintenance, warranty coverage, hassle.
You want to talk? Sure.
The biggest issue is equity. And really, in one case, you have equity value on the home. In the other case, you don't own it. So there's no equity value on the home. But one case, you feel like maybe you have a little less risk. The other one, you're making more money in the long run. So really, the risk issue we feel isn't really part of the equation, because we offer such a high labor warranty, and the fail rate of electronics actually goes down over time. If you look into the electronics as far as how things happen, is you can bring a TV home from Best Buy and it'll die the same day. But if it didn't die in the first 30 days, typically you're going to have that thing for life, and that's just kind of how it works with electronics. So 13 years is an exceptionally long time. So I don't really feel like the warranty issue or maintenance issue is really an issue on either one of them. It's really about, can you use that tax credit? Some people can't. My grandfather couldn't use it. He doesn't have enough income to pay taxes. I think he only pays like $500 or $600 a year. So how can he use an $8,000 tax credit? So that's kind of a situation where you may, say that might be the reason. But really, I think the number one reason is equity.
And we offer options, but what I will say, passionately, is that I feel people should own their system. That's our opinion. We've looked at it 100 different ways. It makes more sense.
If you can afford to do it out of savings or cashing in something else, it really makes sense to do it, because all those percentages you saw there on the other program all feed into your 10% after tax return. So you're just giving it away to somebody else. So unless you've got something else to do with your money, and what we see in these programs is a lot of people tend to be 50 plus and 80 years, so they've got some sort of stake. And the question is, what are you doing with the instruments that you have your investments in? And if they're not returning you 10% guarantee after tax, then punching out of put one of these in makes a lot of sense. And
And I think Mark wants to talk.
And that's the other thing about the lease is that lease payment doesn't end when you, I mean, as opposed to paying it off and owning it, and now it's part of your equity and you own the system, you're getting the full savings, the lease payment doesn't end. And at the end of the 20 years, you either have to keep making a lease payment because you never really bought it, or they take it off the house. So you basically just save at the margins, not as a total cash flow.
I think we want to take a couple more questions. I also want to mention that if you haven't signed up yet, please do before you leave. We do have some refreshments in the back. What we want to do is if anybody has any specific questions that they want to talk to us about, we're going to hang around at the end, and you can certainly do that. You can speak with Brad or you can speak with Mark Scully. These are ambassadors and folks who have solar systems on their roofs now, and of course you can speak with us, and Kate is here as well. But before we do that, I'd like to take just a couple more questions if anybody has any. Yes?
So when Brad was talking, he also mentioned like the hot water. So for most of what people talk to you, just the photovoltaic, and does incentives also apply to the hot water side?
The federal tax credit well, you can take it on a hot water system. We actually started off as in the hot, solar thermal business, and as incentives changed and PV got more attractive or in more demand, we've added that as part of what we do. But there is a solar thermal option, and we do offer that, and we can certainly show you what your options would be if that was something that you chose to do. Any other questions? Anybody else? Yeah. That's a great question. We actually have our first install on July 19th, and that's going to be a live install as part of our solar tour in the town of Simsbury. So, no, we're not going to be waiting until 2015 to do the installations. I think we actually have a couple others that are already scheduled. I'm not sure. There is a process of going through permitting and engineering and designing and all that we have to go through first. And then we get you in the queue. It's another reason why you want to sign up as soon as possible so that you get into the queue as quickly as possible and we don't have to wait. So right now, no, depending on how many people sign up, we don't have any intention on installing in 2015. We hope to get everybody in 2014. And I know Jeff loves to make mention of this now at this time of the year. It's also very important to understand that if you want to get it in this year and use your tax credit for 2015, you want to sign up now. Let's get you in the queue. Let's get you installed before the end of the year so that you can use your tax credit immediately in 2015. So that's another reason to consider signing up sooner than later. All right, so I think that we're going to end it here. I thank you all for coming. As I said, if you haven't signed up yet, please do. And we're going to hang around. And if you have any questions that you want to speak to us about, you can certainly do that.
Okay. Well, Mickey, thank you. And just want to thank our solar ambassadors that were here tonight, and Brad Mead and Kate Donnelly and all the folks from CTEC. They really came out to help you out. You can also see more and learn more about this by talking to these guys individually tonight. We also are going to have a booth at the Talcott Mountain Music Festival on July 3rd as part of the Fireworks and Symphony concert. They're going to have the solar tour where you can go around Simsbury, see some of the systems, such as Mark Scully's or Brad's. And you can actually see what your neighbors have put up on in their house. You can ask them questions. They have no skin in the game other than tell you their own success stories with it. That's going to be on July 19th from 10 a.m. to 2 o'clock. And then we're going to have a solar festival at Flamig Farm. That's going to be August 9th from 11 a.m. to 3. And then we're going to have a booth at Septemberfest and a couple of more workshops that will be announced for the beginning of September, right before the program ends. So big hand for all of those people who came out tonight. I really appreciate it.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.